Hey there YouTube, Logan with Hideaway Homestead here, coming to you today with a video update on our compost in our garden area. I have taken some pieces of firewood here and have screwed some of these old mill ends together and made a garden bed. And so we've got like a I'd say like a 10 by 20 area, more or less. The mill ends are about 10 foot long, somewhere around in there, 10 to 12 foot. And it's probably not square, you know. I didn't measure anything. And this is gonna be our growing area this year. Just been cleaning up around here in the garden around the fruit trees, getting ready to get planted and get things going. I've been moving the compost around. I'm doing the hot composting method, which in the best case scenario you can do in like 18 days. Now Jeff Lawton has a video of him doing it in 12, and they get a good bit of compost, but the whole pile is not completely digested. So with this one here, I've been checking the temperature just a few inches in, like I'd say 8, and it's about at 130 right now. But I'll break it up because I'm gonna move everything over here and show y'all just how hot it is on the inside. Break it up, you can see all the vapor coming off of it. It's pretty hot. Get in there a little bit more. Get in the middle of the pile. As you see, stuff starting to break down. Now you'll see a lot of sticks and leaves, a lot of stuff you can still recognize what it is. And the bigger sticks, they won't break down, but I'm gonna get this turned. And the way to know once you do get done, I haven't been turning this as much as I should, but it's still gonna be ready for the garden with, you know, like a compost mulch mixture. But when you rub it between your hands like this, anything that stains your fingerprints, like you can see what gets in between your fingerprints, that's the actual like digested material from the microbes. So it's heated up really well. Those microbes are getting super busy in there. They're eating, reproducing, dying, doing all kinds of stuff, and that's what causes the pile to heat up. Now I'm gonna move this pile from this corner over to here, and then I'm probably gonna let it sit a couple of days here and then keep moving it back and forth. And so that way, once I get done, I can just kind of spread it out and use it as a mulch. And I'm gonna bring rabbit manure and stuff like that in here. If the pile is not completely digested, because a lot of this stuff that sits on the outside, you know, there'll be pieces that'll be, that won't get composted at all. And that's fine. It can just be used as mulch. The microbes will eat it, and worms and stuff will eat this stuff up as it sits and decomposes. So the more you can turn it though, like if you could turn it every day and you keep the water content just right and the nitrogen and carbon ratio, an easy way, like a easy rule of thumb to keep in mind is like to do 1 bucket of greens to 2 buckets of browns, which just means 1 bucket of high nitrogen material to 2 buckets of high carbon material. So stuff like, you know, maybe 2 buckets of wood chips, and then 2 buckets of vegetable scraps, manure, something like that, that's going to be high in nitrogen. And that'll give you a really good mixture. But I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and give the pile a turn. I'll try to come back during the middle of turning the compost pile, and then at the end as well. So be back in just a minute. All right, so here we are. I've started to turn the pile. I've got maybe like a quarter of it turned. I'm trying to stack it really tall because, as you can see, it fell down, and the stack normally is about like yay high, maybe nearly 3 foot. So the higher you can stack it, the better. You don't want to go over 5 foot though, because I've always heard that the pile can actually start to catch fire. You're basically doing a slow fire when you're doing hot composting. And you can see a lot of this stuff is starting to break down more. We're getting a little more breakdown here in the middle of the pile. A lot more moisture, a lot more breakdown. The pile, I think, has already started to cool since I put it in there. It's down below 130. and probably need to add just a little more nitrogen. You can take some pea and pour on top of it, you know, kind of scattered around it. That'll help a lot. As you can see, the stuff on the outside gets, you know, wind swept and the sun hits it, and so it dries out pretty easy. Now we're going to get some rain tonight, so I'm not worried about the pile, you know, bringing some water or anything. I'm just going to mix this dry material in with the wet, and then when it rains on it, it'll you know, moisten the pile again. And we're turning it just to be able to get oxygen into the pile. You want to make sure that all the little critters that are going to be breaking this stuff down and making the compost have the oxygen, water, and food that they need. And so when it comes to, you know, turning the pile, that's why we do it. This pile, which, you know, you can do all kinds of stuff to manage it better. You can put tarps over it. I like to keep things really simple though. I like to get a good amount of compost, you know, doing the hot composting method. If there's some of it that's, you know, not completely done, I used to do it in a turner. I've got one of my turners over here. Used to do it in this big barrel here, and these are okay. They're just big enough to make hot compost, but you really need to have everything in there, fill it up all at once, and you know, have a really good ratio and get it to get it to do right. But I like making just a pile. Really, if I have the choice, I don't like making compost like this at all. I'd rather not do the work of turning the pile, just because animals are just so perfect at taking material, passing it through their body, composting it, you know, for 24 hours at the, you know, perfect temperature for all those microbes to get in there, and, you know, just stuff that goes through the animal's guts. I like the idea of taking, you know, like my rabbit poop and putting it in a worm composting bin and getting that super fine compost, you know, like the vermicompost, the worm castings. That stuff is gardener's gold. That's my favorite way to do it. This here is mainly just to get a lot of material to be able to mulch this bed and have it ready for all the plants we're going to be planting, which is going to be a pretty good little garden, good sized garden bed. It's not as big as gardens I've done in the past, because I'd grow a lot of corn and melons and stuff like that. We're going to do some of that, but not a whole lot. It's going to be more plants like peppers, tomatoes, all planted in polyculture. So I'll go ahead and pause the video again and finish up turning the pile, and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so here we are at the end of turning the compost pile. Got a lot of that stuff that was on the bottom there. Got some weeds mixed in with it, and it's starting to look more like compost, which I think we're coming up close to day 18. So I have not turned this like I'm supposed to. The Berkeley method is to build the pile, wait 4 days, and allow it to heat up. And you do it with a tarp. You know, you put a tarp over it, and then you turn it after that every other day. And so I've missed some days. I've done some days more turning, some days not. So it's not going to be the perfect thing. But that's the thing about compost. Get the camera turned around. Is really and truly what you're looking for in the end is decomposition. So if you think about it, decomposition happens in a lot of ways. It can happen really fast. It can happen really slow. If you think about like an animal that gets hit on the side of the road, flies come in, lay eggs, and the maggots start to decompose the carcass. Excuse me. Had some real bad problems with some gas and nausea. I think me and the fam have got some kind of little virus or something. I have felt puny all day. Got home from work and took a nap just because felt horrible. I'm about to go and sit down again because I ain't gonna do much else outside except for, you know, maybe rake up some of this stuff around the compost pile. But, you know, maggots will decompose a carcass really fast. It's eating, breaking everything down. Hot compost is pretty fast. If you just lay material somewhere, it eventually rots. You know, if you have a tree fall down in the woods, that stump and the trunk of that tree is going to decompose really slowly. It's going to happen over time. You know, fungi is going to break it down. pill bug stuff's gonna go in there and break that stuff down. It's all about you know, the time. So really and truly, however you do compost, I just say just compost, decompose things. Now, as far as, you know, what you would buy as compost in a bag, or that you're going to buy from somebody who makes compost professionally, it's going to be that nice grainy stuff that stains your fingertips brown. So anything like that, that's going to be like your, you know, commercial compost. People who do it organically, the fine finished product is like that. But everything that doesn't break down, let the microbes in the soil, let the earthworms have it. I absolutely love passing things through earthworms. I think it's one of the most beneficial things that you can do. If you have worms, get rabbits. You know, if you get rabbits and you have rabbit droppings, make a pile of rabbit droppings somewhere in the yard, and worms, or, you know, make a bed, worms will move in. They'll move in and they'll start eating that stuff. Take you a scoop of them, throw them in some kind of bin, like I did. You can go and look on the channel, go back, look at videos about worms. I've got a little worm bed where I had thousands of worms, and they just came from the rabbit poop. You know, I threw it in a container and they broke it down, and I used that stuff to make soil amendments. I sold some of it. I've got a bunch for the garden that I'm gonna be scattering around. So however you can do it, making some kind of organic material to add to your soil is better than not. There's lots of different methods. There's the, you know, Berkeley method. There's just doing slow compost. There's making leaf mold. I mean, you can get on YouTube and you can find, or the internet, and find all kinds of different methods, and they're all, you know, good. Maybe there's some of them that aren't, that, you know, just like, hey, just let this sit here and rot. That might be, you know, like taking a bunch of roadkill. I don't know. But the majority of the methods you're going to see is going to give you a good result in the end. There's, you know, little things to watch out for, but as you go and learn, you'll figure those things out. But if you found this video helpful, please leave a like. If you've got any questions or comments, drop those down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. I drop a video like this mostly every day. I appreciate all y'all watching, and we'll see you in the next one.